So this is the long-awaited Luau with Thurmont, which we do once a year, and it's a 2-day event, but it changes. So far every year we've only had it twice. This time it is a two-person team match, which we've never done before, and had its, let's just say, own set of challenges for trying to run. But back to the shooting. Here we start off on the famed Jiggulator, which I think I mentioned before doesn't really add anything, but these targets certainly did. You're basically, you and your partner get on there and at the same time just obliterate all the steel that's in front of you. That stupid hostage target with the T-shaped hole is back and gave us trouble again. Although, everything else seemed to be okay. My pistol shooting was not on point that day. For whatever reason, I just wasn't... My head wasn't in the game, so I had to have Finn, my teammate, pick up the slack for me. Although, when we get to the spinner, which everyone thinks is really awful, we were double tapping it with 230 grains of 45 ACP at the same time. It just went over, like, in no time at all. So after you're done with that, you run over to 2 more bays, and there's a sea of paper, which you have to wait until both you and your partner are ready to grab your rifles, then load, and just neutralize all the paper with 2 shots. You just have to go through, one person takes one side, the other person takes the other, and just make sure all of the paper is neutralized. The trick is maneuvering around and finding everything, trying to see if your partner missed something or if you missed something. You see towards the end here, we slow down and try and see if there was anything we missed. I also kind of skipped over the fact that we're both LARPing as troopers in Vietnam, so we both have Mitchell covers, Lucky Strikes. He's got Tiger Strike fatigues, I've got just regular ODs. And we're both using M16s with A1 uppers, although he's using a dissipator with a suppressor, and I'm using just a regular 20-inch with a 3-prong flash hider. Now, this is kind of embarrassing. There's 4 targets at 50 yards that you're supposed to neutralize with the pistol. We goofed, and we only shot each of them once. You're supposed to hit each of them twice. But I struggled greatly for no good reason other than I was just sloppy. I was probably just anxious because I was ROing everyone at the same time as doing this, so I wasn't thinking about shooting well. Whenever I got up to shoot at this match, it was just getting it over with so I can get back to running the tablet or running the timer. Eventually I do neutralize it, but I ate up a lot of time, and my bad pistol shooting is probably why we timed out on this stage with 1 target remaining. After you do this, you clear all the pistol targets. There's a plate rack at 100 yards that you neutralize with your rifles. You and your teammate are both shooting at the same time. And so you just knock down all those plates, and then you move on. There's another plate rack at 200 yards, which is really, really hard to see over iron sights. I mean, even people with optics weren't getting it. Basically what I had to do was just put the top of my front sight in the middle of the bar below the plates. It was painted black. So I put my front sight there. You couldn't see the white plates at all. They were in the shade, and they'd been shot by a couple people before us. So you couldn't really see the plates. You just had to shoot at the black bar and wait for a ding, and then look over your iron sights to see if you can see them. But when you're actually shooting at them, looking through the sights, they're pretty much invisible. You have to use something else to try and find them. And then after that, there are 4 flasher targets at 300, which I redeemed myself. I got 3 out of the 4 of those by myself. Finn's rifle had some malfunctions. He really wasn't able to do much at 300. When I got to the last target, I threw a couple shots on it, and that's when we timed out. It was very disappointing. And it was only just because I took so long on the pistol. If I hadn't, then I think I would have had enough time. I'd be able to send enough rounds to get the last 300-yard target, and we wouldn't have had any penalties for this. Yeah, we're still working on the 200-yard there. In fact, I shoot so much I have to reload. I was only using 20-round mags for this entire match. I've got a bunch of aluminum OK Industries 20s and 1 Brownell's waffle mag, steel waffle mag. Finn did have a 25-round straight mag from Brownell's, but he was having a lot of mag trouble with his rifle. Some of them were the OKs. His Colt mags ran really well, but some of the OKs, for some reason, his rifle wasn't liking those. So you can see here, now is when I get down back on my knees, The reason we were standing up for the 200-yard target is because those plate racks are kind of low, and it's really hard to see them over the berm. There's a berm in front of them, so you kind of have to stand up to get a clear sight picture of them. So this one was kind of fun. You both start seated in the car, one in the front and one in the back, and one of you takes the steel on the left. The person in the front seat starts with the steel on the left and neutralizes all of that. There's a Texas star in the middle, a mini one, and either of you can engage that. And it's just up to you and your partner to decide who eliminates how many plates. So what I decided to do was just shoot at it until I ran empty, and then not bother to reload and just let Finn take care of the rest, which, ended up only being 1 plate before I ran empty, and he probably a little miffed that I left him 4 out of the 5 plates to deal with on his own. So then the first person who shot in the front seat gets out, dumps their pistol, runs around behind the car, yells clear, and then that's when the passenger in the back seat can draw their pistol and work on the rest of the steel. Now he's going to keep working on the rest of the Texas Star plates. He's a better pistol shooter than I am, so I figured it was okay to leave those targets for him. Otherwise, I would have just eaten up all of our time. And some of the targets are painted blue, some of them are white. That doesn't mean anything in terms of score. There's no no-shoots or anything in regards to that. Not this time, anyway. Also, we were both using 1911s with just regular 7-round mags. They ran pretty well. I only had 1 malfunction, which I don't know what the cause of it was. It was probably just ammo related, because that gun has never malfunctioned before. It was just a short stroke of ammo, and I'm using a Wolf, so there's nothing fancy to be expected from that. So then when you both yell clear, you're behind, then you draw your rifles, which start a loaded mag and a chamber empty, and then you neutralize. There's some steel hanging plates at the back of the bay, and for some reason I had trouble with this. I didn't think I would, but it just took me a while to get my head back in the game and find out where I needed to aim to hit them. These rifles are dead-on accurate. I've shot that M16 a lot, especially with this 22 conversion kit in it, but even just shooting regular ammo. I've shot it a lot, so even before this match, I knew what I was supposed to be doing with it. So this is the second stage 2, but our third, no, 4th. I'm getting mixed up. Only one person shooting at a time here. The first teammate starts with their rifle, and they go through and neutralize all the paper within the fault lines. And then after they're done shooting, then they run back, tag in their teammate, and then their teammate clears up all of the steel with their pistol. We kind of had a back and forth with this. Finn's setup was not really conducive to reloading pistols, and mine was. But since he is a better pistol shooter than I am, we figured, and I hadn't been shooting my pistol very well that day, so we figured it was safer for him to do the pistol part and for me to just go through with the rifle. Didn't really matter who did the rifle, since that's, easy. So now you dump it, make sure it's on safe, run back. And here is a recurring problem. This had happened before, earlier in the day when I was ROing. The U.S. mag pouches that were made for 20-round magazines are terrible. They're very shallow, and there's a clip on the top. But when you unclip it and draw a magazine, you have to close the top. Otherwise, when you start running, the mags just fly out and go everywhere. So that happened to me once during a stage and once while I was ROing. And it was open because earlier I had to reload on this stage, and I wasn't anticipating that. I hadn't counted the targets and to see if I would have to reload with 20-round mags. But I did. I drew a new mag, reloaded, and then didn't close the pouch. And so then when I ran back, it got all jiggly, and then all the mags flew out. You can see he should be almost done cleaning up here. 1 and 2. I think that's it. Yep. So the last stage that we did for the day, I think, was the most fun. So we're in a minivan here, pretending it's a Huey. And the deal is you both have your pistols loaded. The rifles are staged in the back seat. There's a bunch of steel to the left and to the right. Obviously, the persons on the left and right engage those targets respectively, and they're all steel. A bunch of falling steel. These are cool. So you hit them, and then they drop along the angle supports that they're on. And what I noticed was cool about this was when Finn and I were shooting, since we both used 1911s with 7-round mags, we were both shooting at roughly the same cadence. So we hit the targets at about the same time, and we reloaded about the same time, and we finished up our targets at about the same time. So when one was done shooting, normally one person would have to wait for the other, but we finished at almost exactly the same time, so there was none of that. We were really in sync for that, which I was very pleased with. And then you get back, charge your gun, charge your rifle, and then neutralize all the paper. Now I'm going to stand up in here in a second so you get a glorious view of my butt, and the cameraman wisely pans over to Finn. I had to stand up because otherwise there were some walls that were in the way and would have made shooting at some of the other targets with hard cover a lot harder, so I just stood up to get a better view of them. Here, Finn also has a few more malfunctions that may be magazine related, might be suppressor related, or might be maintenance related, because he said he hadn't cleaned the gun since like January when we mud tested them, but had been running fine. And I'd seen the OK mags had given him trouble, so he changed mags here. I think he's using the steel waffle mag, and used that to get through the rest of the stage. I didn't have to reload. There were exactly 10 targets that you needed to double tap. So as soon as I ran empty, I didn't bother to reload and just finished. And so after this, there was a stage where you were just shooting as singles, but I didn't finish that stage because I was working too hard, being the RO and running the tablet. So I didn't have time to hydrate myself, and it was really hot that day. So I ended up not quite heat stroking out, but getting close. And rather than try and push myself and having an accident with the firearm, I decided it would be safer to just tap out for the rest of the match, which a bit disappointing, but I made that call just to be safe because I didn't want to have any sort of issues that would lead to a firearm accident. And it's better to just tap out and know your limits and work through that. So, but the team match was fun. I did enjoy it. It was really hard to run as an RO, but everyone said that it was a lot of fun. I think next year, if we do this again, we will try to divide up the work a bit evenly, because it was really hard to try and keep track of two shooters safely and also keep track of their scores. So we'll probably have one RO per person, and then have another person watching any sort of steel targets and do the scoring that way. So that was the whole thing. The M16s, they ran great. 1911, aside from the one ammo-related hiccup, worked great. But it seems Finn has something to work out, either magazine-related or gun-related, to work out on his rifle. But that said, I'm looking forward to it next year. And we're also going to be doing the Igloo again in February. We have dates for that. So I'm looking forward to doing that 2-day match as well. So if you see this and you like it and you're local, come and check it out. And I hope to see you around at some of these special events later.